Well, people, today I'm just going to create a small or short video. As always, monologuing, overthinking things. But one thing I did notice, and I have noticed this for years actually, is just that I don't think I've ever documented this. But I've noticed that we as a society have fallen into the game, the blaming game, the game of so-called bigotry or hatred or so-called you should not say that or you should not think that way. But where does all this come from? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Where does all of this censoring come from? Obviously, it's going to come from a place or from a group of people that don't want us to be too aware of reality. So, for example, when you see people saying, "No, you can't generalize," well, actually, you can generalize in many cases. Actually, probably in most cases. But why do we have to do that? Why do we have to deter from the conversation by using that term? Oh, you can't generalize. Look, everybody knows that not everything applies 100% of the time. But the word generalize does not mean 100% of the time. It means the majority, which could be from 151, which is almost 50-50. But the point is, if a group of people of any particular race, religion, or ethnic group are doing something, yeah, you could generalize. Because believe it or not, it's usually more than 51% if you're going to take into account percentages. But let me break it down to what I'm getting to. You see, nowadays, society is very fragmented and divided. The oligarchs of the world have us fighting each other while they are having a party. The oligarchs meaning those that are very rich and powerful. Those that put presidents so that we are entertained with so-called democracy. Playing this victimhood game back and forth, blacks and whites, men and women, heterosexual, rainbow group, communist democracy or capitalism, whatever the war, whatever the debates we have among ourselves, they do that intentionally to keep us divided, to keep us fighting each other. And that's how we are very stupid. They do not want us to look up there. They don't want us to see them up there, enjoying their lives. Their children are enjoying their lives. They have generational wealth while we are their slaves. While we work hard, whether in construction or a nurse or, even a doctor and an engineer, we work for them. It's just that we don't realize that. We don't see it that way. We see, oh, we have a great career. No, you don't, because when that career is over, are you rich like they are? Are you really rich? You're probably just comfortable enough for them to take that retirement money from you in the next 20 or 30 years that, what we have remaining of life when we retire. But that money ends up back in their pockets. That's what we accumulated when we worked for them. And then what we accumulated while we worked for them, now that we're retired and we can't work for them anymore, now we have to use our retirement money, which goes back to them again. It's the perfect con job of slavery. It's just that it doesn't look that way. It doesn't look that way. It says, well, I have a big screen TV, I have Netflix, I have a nice car, I have vacation. Yeah, but that does not mean you're not a slave. Even God in the Bible promises heaven and paradise. And he still uses the word slave in that paradise because we still serve him. Of course, serving God is not detrimental when it comes to serving the oligarchs, because at least God promises to give you eternal life and no more pain and no more suffering, but you're still serving him as a slave. In that case, you're a good slave. You're a well-kept, extremely well-kept slave, but the word is still there. And again, I know the word slave has been given a negative meaning or a negative feel. No, I mean, we're slave to gravity. That benefits us. We're slaves to water, but we need to drink water to survive. We're a slave to the planet Earth. We can't just fly off into space. I mean, we're going to be dead in seconds because of radiation from outer space. So again, we live on Earth. We're slaved to the planet, but you don't really feel it. You know why? Because the planet keeps us alive. What actually converts us into slaves is the oligarchs, the mega rich, those that put and take kings and queens and many powerful people of the earth. But guess what? Most of us don't even think that far because we're so busy doing what again? Fighting each other. Oh, you can't say that. That's bigotry. That's hatred. That's this. That's that. You idiot. That's exactly what they want. They want us hating each other. Even the term politically incorrect, who pulled that out of their behind, again, to divide us and for us to point at each other and for us to say, you can't do that, you can't say that, you can't be that way. That's inappropriate, that's disrespectful. No, if it's true, it's true. And that's my point there. We're censoring truth and replacing it with labels that are divisive, that divide us, that fragment us, that keep us distracted, again, distracted from our own slavery, the negative form of slavery. While the oligarchs in the world are up there in very high places enjoying their billions, they don't work at all. They invest. That's what they call it investing. It's usury, which, by the way, the three biggest religions of the world, in their holy books, they condemn usury. Why? Because it leads to slavery. It leads to precisely the position we're in right now. Right now in America, for example, there's a ton of money being made, but by them. There's a lot of money being sent to other countries, while there's a lot of homeless people in America. And I mean a lot. Right now, there's a lot of people becoming unemployed. There's a lot of benefits that are being taken away gradually. Again, we should be concerned about these things. Education is going up higher. The prices of education is going, of higher education is going higher and higher and higher. When you graduate, you own, 100,000, maybe even 200,000 student loans. So you gave a down payment for your slavery. Do you not see that? Do you not see that student loan is a down payment to force you to have to go to work for them? No, again, people think these things through. Really, really think. We need to turn the light switch. I actually found this. It's portable, but again, we need to do that in our head. That switch needs to go on. We need to be really aware of what's going on, because again, we're suckers. We think we're free. We think we're having a big time life, but we're still slaves. Those that are truly enjoying themselves are those very high up there that are almost never mentioned. And it's not the president of the United States or the leaders of Russia, China. Yeah, they enjoy a better life than we do, money-wise. But the oligarchs, you never hear of them. You never hear of them. They don't want to be seen at all, because they know that if they're seen, they know that if we know their last names and what groups they belong to, they know that when things get rough, society is going to come after them. So what they do is that they put what they call the Manchurian candidate. They put a president, they put a prime minister, as the face of the country. So when things go down, they're going to go after them, the leaders, not after the oligarchs, not after the owners of those leaders or politicians or kings or presidents or prime ministers or whatever. The perfect distraction. Again, accountability to these people is never there. It's never found. It's never administered. Justice never comes to them, at least in a more obvious way. But again, people, I personally believe we should stop playing the stupid games of that's inappropriate. Don't say that. That's bigotry. That's hatred. That's this. That's that. You know, it's it's a very divisive game that distracts us from truly being free and prosperous. Keep that in mind and think it over yourself. And if you have any comment on what I just said, hey, maybe you can change my mind a little bit. But I've been seeing this for decades, and it's sad. It's sad that we keep fighting each other when we should be actually changing the system so it benefits all of us, not just them. Well, till next time.